Undoubtedly, many of you have been following the Kyle Rittenhouse case. Now, we're monitoring it for any breaking news. But the trial gives us a rare opportunity to encapsulate our national experience through one court case. In an America where the left wing gets to break the law and the rules with impunity, in an America where disagreeing with leftists is being turned into a crime, in an America where fundamental fairness and equality is being sacrificed on the altar of totalitarian government control, an examination of what's happening may be our best bet to galvanize our people to rise up and stop this. Unequal justice is un-American. We focus on a major threat the left poses to national unity in tonight's preamble. Last week on my radio show, I featured a soundbite from a school board meeting in Fort Worth, Texas. Now, before we go on, you should know that Fort Worth ISD is run by a man by the name of Kent Scribner. This superintendent is a clone of the left-wing loon in Loudoun County who created a dangerous and permissive atmosphere for the rape of young girls by professed transgender males. Not only has Mr. Scribner taken similar positions on transgenders, but he's also part of a cabal and unelected government that thinks they are accountable to no one, parents in particular. So it was no real shock when a backer of critical race theory descended on a Fort Worth Independent School Board meeting and reflected the atmosphere that Scribner has fostered in Fort Worth government-run schools.
I've got over 1,000 soldiers ready to go.
We're not the board. He's
1,000 go. My First Amendment rights. My First Amendment rights are here.
The board is in front of you. Not me. If you want to talk to me, I'd be happy to talk to you. You're not going to yell at me.
Time. You're not telling us. Time. That's the board. I'll bet you that.
Locked and loaded. Continue to threaten me. Bye.
As you just saw and heard, on November 9th, Malik Austin there told a room full of folks that he'd come back to the next meeting with his 1,000 soldiers, quote, locked and loaded. Now, that's what you and I would call a bona fide terroristic threat. But in Joe Biden's America, you know, Merrick Garland and his devotees and the FBI leadership, they look at that as something that's just fine, something to keep the white folk in line, you know? Besides, the FBI is laser focused on taking down what they see as the real threat, parents who speak up against government's China virus mandates and the teachings of the Hate Whitey program, critical race theory. There's also the fact that Merrick Garland's son-in-law markets the venomous CRT to school districts all over the country. So if folks are showing up to school board meetings and threatening violence against those who oppose CRT, AG Garland is likely cool with that because more CRT makes his little girl richer. Just one slight problem. If a white guy showed up at a school board meeting opposing CRT and threatened to bring back his soldiers locked and loaded, do you think authorities would be ignoring that? Not likely. So why the double standard? Another example of this un-American misapplication of justice can be found in the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. The facts of this case indicated early on that a trial wasn't needed, but because Kyle was young, white, and defended himself from violent left-wing rioters, the social justice warriors demanded that he be made an example of. Remember, this all started when Kyle Rittenhouse decided he would travel to Kenosha, Wisconsin to stand against one of the many riots inspired by the violent left in the wake of the George Floyd murder. No American should ever be denied access to any American city because of left-wing violence. But because Kyle chose to go and stand against left-wing looting, rioting, burning, and violence, certain analysts over at CNN are calling him names.
I mean, the stupidity of this is like, what could possibly go wrong? Well, a lot went wrong. The good news for Kyle Rittenhouse is that he's not on trial for being an idiot. He's on trial for homicide.
Now, it is true that Kyle didn't think about his decision all the way through. Perhaps he should have been asking himself, hey, why am I going to do the job that left-wingers in government should be doing, you know, maintaining law and order? But he didn't. And as we all know, Kyle was confronted by left-wing extremists who aimed guns at him, beat him with skateboards, and tried to take his gun from him. And that was all confirmed by the prosecution's witnesses. Now, throughout this case, the defense has been trying to argue that somehow Kyle wasn't entitled to defend himself because his gun was bigger than the gun being aimed at him, or the prosecution thought he might have deserved to be beaten with a skateboard. Now, think about that. To please liberal lunatics, the prosecution is actually claiming that Kyle should have allowed himself to be beaten and potentially killed so he wouldn't harm a lovable leftist. The Rittenhouse trial and craziness inside of school board meetings is a broader sign of Joe Biden and his minions' attempt to turn American jurisprudence and the ideals of American justice upside down. Kyle Rittenhouse isn't the only one on trial in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Our God-given right of self-defense is also on trial. And it's not just stopping porn and CRT that's at stake in these school board meetings across the country. It's our ability to demand a redress of grievances from our government and bring accountability to an unaccountable government that is at stake. If unequal justice under the law becomes the American way, the United States will be finished, as our people will never surrender to that double standard. If the Socialist-Democrat Party succeeds in criminalizing their opponents, a major source of unity in America will simply vanish. And so too will America. It's time to get engaged, my fellow citizens. They only win if we allow it. These are our rights. Taking them away was never part of the deal under our Constitution.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.